They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
Well, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. We're live at the zoo on Sunday night, and that is the title of the video as well. Boy, we all got a roller coaster ride of pain this weekend. If you were paying any attention to international geopolitical, geomilitary action, not to mention psyops, propaganda, and fear tactics. But who got played, folks? Did you get played? I know I got played a little. We all actually did, but whether or not you just smelled the bait, nibbled at the bait, or bit the hook, or swallowed the damn thing, hook, line, and sinker. That's right, I'm talking about Putin and the coup d'etat. I woke up, stretched a little bit, kind of waking up, and got a message from Kaz and Newman and Jolene talking about the coup d'etat in Russia. And it did not even seem to happen before it even got off the ground. It was grounded. But still, folks, there's a lot at play going on over in Russia. That's right. Kim.com. Is an insider. You may remember that name. Think about it. Kim.com. There was this person, this insider, this very notorious blogger slash Reddit user slash person. It's been around for years and years doing investigative researching around. Anyways, asked the question this afternoon. Did Putin and Prigozhin play the Central Intelligence Agency to the tune of $6 billion? Well, and you're like, wait a minute, who is this? Well, okay, Prigozhin is the leader of the Wagner group, which is the private military contractor, PMC. Prigozhin is the leader of Wagner, a mercenary group, a Russian mercenary group fighting on behalf of the Russians. Okay, so basically, the country of Russia pays this military to fight to help fight its battles. Interesting, right? You would think, well, no, these people want to be paid as mercenaries. It's a little different. Anyways, we first really heard of Wagner as mainstream America because of their efforts and their success at stomping the Ukraine military, right? So this Wagner group and their Wagner coup supposedly happened because Russia somehow bombed, shot, killed some of the Wagner group, right? So I think this is a double gotcha, a double whammy. Right? We have counter, and counterintelligence working on things. So this Wagner group, folks, they're a private military. I think they have a total of 25,000 people that are part of it. Sounds a lot like the CIA itself, doesn't it? Anyways, this guy, Kim.com, hacker, right? He thinks that he's a hacker. He thinks that Wagner, the boss there, Prigozhin, who was complaining weeks ago that they weren't being given ammunition to fight in Ukraine. Right? They're saying this Prigozhin guy may have collected billions of dollars from the Central Intelligence Agency to stage a coup. But Kim.com says, and then he aborted it. He gave up. He quit, right? Now, this thing is deep, folk. You want to talk about spy versus spy and agents and double agents and triple agents. What side are they working for? This is CIA's territory, folks. Infiltration, lying, cheating, stealing, murdering. But you're in Russia. Okay, can you imagine the fruitcake, skinny jeans wearing, light in the loafers, modern CIA that's more concerned about pride? Oh, folks, trust me, they're woke as fuck, just like the FBI. Do you think they're going to outthink not just years, not just decades, but generations of trained GRU, KGB, intel officers who never lost their jobs when the Soviet Union fell? Do you really think that these guys who are more concerned about a social agenda, do you think they're going to actually outthink? I mean, let's go here, right? Let's go here. Oh, by the way, this is Sunday Night Live. Get your questions down below. Give me your opinion. What do you think really happened over here over the weekend with the coup d'etat that never happened, right? Remember, folks, several weeks ago, the Wagner group, right? Under Prigozhin, he said that Moscow and the Kremlin were denying them ammunition, that their people were being killed, they were being beaten by the Ukrainian military. No, folks, hook, line, and sinker, the CIA, MI6, military intelligence sectors within NATO swallowed it. They thought it was real weakness, and they attacked, and then they were handed major losses. They were handed their asses shortly thereafter, and they lost Bakhmut and a whole lot more. And after that, what happened? That's right, folks. The idiots in Ukraine drove their new tanks, drove their new armored personnel carriers, drove their new MRAPs, their new Humvees, right up to the front line, jumped out of them and ran away and said, boy, they just stopped working. Yeah, they weren't working right. They broke, right? They abandoned ship. They fled from the front lines, and the Russians took them as prizes. So is it hard to believe that Prigozhin, head of the Wagner group, was acting as a double agent? That, yeah, he's fighting Ukraine, but secretly he's being paid off by the CIA to do what? To go after Putin, to march his army with his equipment into the heart of Russia. And folks, I mean, honestly, stranger things have happened. It is Russia after all. But like Putin and Kremlin, all of Moscow's bureaucracy, you think they're going to let a private military contractor drive right into the heart of Russia, the brain center of Mother Russia, and just take over the government? It'd be more blatant, folks, than any coup d'etat on the planet, leaving the front line to go back and try and take Moscow in front of God and the world, as well as military intelligence by the Russians. How quick do you think Putin and the Kremlin, if they were seriously coming all the way to Moscow, how long do you think it'd take to put a hypersonic missile right up Prigozhin's ass, literally pinpoint his sphincter and take him out. How hard would it be for Russia? And this is a question I asked. Is it possible? Is it believable that Putin would use tactical nuclear artillery to take out a coup attempt, right? Like he's going to allow, Russia's going to allow his own mechanized private military contractor to take over his country using CIA funding? Like that's going to fucking happen? Unbelievable. And then, you know, Kaz and Uman, and others have been going back and forth on this. Do you really think, I mean, okay, so here's what they've told us, right? They told us, right, that Prigozhin stopped, that the president of Belarus, isn't his name Lukashenko? I think, anyways, I may be getting all my Russian names mixed up. He brokered a peace deal between Prigozhin and Putin in Moscow, and he's going to basically be exiled in Belarus. Do you think for a fucking second that if you were committing a coup, which is it's treason, if you get caught doing it, it's treason. If you win, you're a patriot. Understand that. Do you think for a fucking second that if this guy was serious about committing a coup takeover and expelling the entire Russian government, do you think Putin wouldn't, one, take him out with hypersonics, two, put nuclear ordnance in his ass, three, hunt him to the ends of the earth for such treason? Four, do you think he would? Four, do you think he would allow him to be exiled or sent to another country and live? And lastly, let's just assume that it was a real coup d'etat, and that for some way, somehow, some reason, Prigozhin came to a sense and he's like, you know, maybe I won't do it. I would like to live, please. And so he's going to go and he's going to continue to fight for Mother Russia. The moment Ukraine says, that's it, we're quitting, there would be a hypersonic missile on the way to where Prigozhin is, if it was real. These are Russians, folks. They don't fuck around. It's not the West. It's not the United States. It's not Canada. It's not Australia. It's not England. It's not even Europe, in the sense that they allow such nonsense to go on. You don't fuck around with real national security in a real country like Russia. You even so much as sneeze wrong and someone's going to be at your house asking some very tough questions, right? Yeah. They'll be putting the questions to you with fucking thumb screws and a number of other, how do we say this? Information extraction devices. So let's go back to Kim.com saying, yeah, there could be some trouble here, right? This could be bullshit. So is the author correct that the Russians duped the Central Intelligence Agency yet again, like they did in Bakhmut? Do you think they duped him again, right? $6 billion. Where'd that number come from? Not $6 million, man, $6 billion. Do you think that the fucking idiot CIA threw money through a secret back channel account? You know what the first thing I would have done? Or I'm sorry, Prigozhin or any other intelligent person would have done? He would have said, yeah, send me the money. Hey, Putin, guess what? These fucking idiots are going to send me $6 billion, man. $6 billion to stage and commit a coup against you. I'm going to tell them I'm interested. Yeah, I know. That's how stupid they are. They actually believe it. So, okay, I'll have my people call your people. We'll talk. In the meantime, I'm going to transfer that $6 billion into a numbered account at the Shanghai Gold Exchange, have it wired, and shipped back. We're going to put it next to your gold in the depository. Okay, Putin, buddy? All right, Vlad, man, me and you, we're going to go play some Russian golf with some vodka. Right? Okay, it's cool. I know, Vlad. Quit laughing, man. Stop laughing at the CIA, man. These guys, yeah, I know. We have to laugh at them. Okay, bye, buddy. That's what would have been happening, folks. I believe that way more than a Russian mercenary private military contractor really was going to attempt a coup against Russia and expect to get away with it, or just be let go and forgiven for the effort. Something stinks in Denmark and also in Donetsk, right? Yes. So, and this is what kills me. I mean, this was huge news this weekend. And it did. It woke me the fuck right up. I was like, what the hell is this all about? You know, that's a hell of a way to wake up. Now, Congresswoman Marge Taylor Greene speculated the Wagner Group may have had U.S. backing. Let's see. Jack Pozo wrote, whole lot of neocons deleting their pro-Prigozhin tweets right now. What does that mean? A lot of neocons. Neocons, folks, are not neoconservatives. That's an old moniker. Neocons are neo-fascist corporatists that want war. So when he says a whole lot of neocons are deleting their pro-Prigozhin tweets right now, is they thought Prigozhin was working for them and that he was going to go all the way to Moscow and that they're going to duke it out with the Russian military. Do you think for a second they wouldn't be flying MiGs in there and just dusting and obliterating them with everything they got? Nobody, folks, and I mean nobody, has ever made it to Moscow since the invention of heavy artillery. Folks, even when they only had heavy horse, right? Napoleon got his ass handed to him. Nobody makes it to Moscow, folks. Not even the fucking Nazis in their blitzkrieg. They couldn't make it to Moscow. So using a Russian military in the spring, I guess the odds are good. But do you think for a fucking second? No. Unbelievable. So yeah, these people got taken. Kim.com Schmitz had his explanation. He said, my view on the Russian actions by Prigozhin and the Wagner Group in Russia, this started as a power struggle between Prigozhin and Shoigu. Okay, in the beginning of the special military operation, Shoigu and his team made mistakes and Prigozhin became the strong critic of Shoigu. So internal Russian politics, folks, does not guarantee or even intimate, not for a fucking second, that the CIA can buy their way in. Sure, there may have been some little bit of discussion, right? I just don't buy it. I don't buy for a second that he was ever going to do anything. Let's see. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić said that foreign services, meaning CIA, were involved in the Saturday coup attempt. I don't want to say who was involved from the outside, but have no doubts. I think there were a lot of people who were in on the know, and they actually believed that that was going to go down. Now, folks, I did consider it. What do I know? I'm just John. I thought, hell, this could be happening. What a crazy, wild fucking thing that could happen. Because it is Russia. But then, but the more I thought about it, as if they're going to let mechanized infantry roll right up the old interstate, right? Like they're going to take Highway 1 into Moscow, and Moscow won't respond. Whether or not Prigozhin is smarter than Shoigu, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone was right and someone was wrong. Now, I understand that for political purposes and control of his own mercs, Prigozhin has to criticize somebody if they are being beaten badly, right? He doesn't want his troops to quit, to lose, to give up, to abandon ship, etc. Right? They don't want that. So if someone made a mistake, someone gets blamed. It doesn't mean you turn traitor to your fucking country. Wow. Okay. What do you guys think? I'll tell you what. I'm going to start off. This is Sunday Night Live, and I wanted to really hammer that shit home. I hope you guys want to talk about it. If you do, there's a super chat button right up there that you can hit. Make a donation. We'll get you your questions online. I'll make you famous, folks. We're going to talk about it. Down below, there's also Venmo, PayPal, and CashApp if you want to donate that way. What am I talking about? Donating to the GTFB and SB fund. That's my Get the Fuck Back and Stay Back fund. And if you do a $50 or more donation, brand new bottle of Glenlivet 18, and a $50 or more super chat donation buys me a drink. So kicking off the show is Darcy T, who has done just that, a $50 donation. And she says, "Good evening, John." And I'm sure she also means good evening to everyone else as well. She said, "Just some cashola for the coffers." That's right. We got to put some Spam, some tuna, got to put back some rice in the old larder / pantry. Thank you, Darcy. Woo! There it is. That's a hell of a good start right there. Fresh bottle right there. Now, always or nearly always, thank you, Darcy T. At the beginning of the show, we also have Chin Music stepping in with his $55.56. So he does the $50 drink plus a 556, and we know what that means, folks. We know what that means. That means Chin Music is also purchased. So I'm kicking it off after I got that Wagner stuff out and that Russian stuff. Now I can relax. Well, you guys are probably going to talk about it. But let's do this, Jolene. If we've got Chin Music's super chat donation question, let's throw it up on the board. Woo! Bam! And here it is. Thank you, Chin. He says, "Hey, if you still weren't sure if we're on our own, this week should remove all doubt. Hunter Walks gets 3 felonies reduced to misdemeanors. Biden's obvious crimes remain uncharged while Trump's alleged crimes are fast-tracked. That's just the appetizer. I can't wait for the dickless Republicans to run in front of the cameras, put their hands to their hips, and demand to speak to the manager. I have fond memories of my time as a free American. I won't be arrested either, John. Semper Fi." And I tell you what, not a fucking chance at this point. No way in hell, right? I'm going to add to what you just wrote, man. I'm going to add to it. Republican representative, right? Darrell Issa out of California. Darrell Issa, I can tell you guys, is a conservative. He serves down in the Madera, Fresno County area. Madera County, Fresno County, Central California, north of LA quite a bit. Darrell Issa came out today and he said that, hey, Joe Biden is officially lawyered up. This is how, folks, it's going down. It says the sitting president, his son, and several family members have been caught in a major international pay-to-play scandal that took place for several years involving tens of millions of dollars exchanging hands. Thanks to Hunter Biden and his crack addiction, the family finally got caught. Folks, it is hitting the fan, and they're not being arrested. Why hasn't Joe Biden resigned? More and more is coming out. It wasn't just a little bit here and a little bit there, right? They now have, I believe it's the WhatsApp message sent from crackhead Hunter to China. Their man in China saying, I'm right here sitting next to the big guy, my daddy. That's what he wrote, right? He's right next to my dad. And we're not playing games. You will do as you're told, right? Basically shaking them down. Unbelievable. And the money was transferred within days. Why hasn't Joe Biden resigned yet? Because he has no integrity. Why, folks? Why hasn't McCarthy impeached him yet? If not now, when? Where's the Federal Bureau of Investigation on this? Why aren't there cuffs on Biden again and the president as well? Where's the Department of Justice? Where's the Attorney General's office? They're lying scumbags. They're stinking hypocritical fuckheads is what they are, folks. And it's just going to get worse. President Nixon was involved in a couple of CIA bumbling doofuses who broke into an office at the Watergate Hotel. And it was considered such a heavy-duty crime that there was no way Nixon wasn't going to be impeached. And the Republicans, folks, had so much integrity, they weren't going to stand by and allow the president to send his bumbling fools, who were, by the way, the same bumbling idiots who worked on the JFK assassination. Anyways, the same idiots. Nope, he resigned before they could impeach him. They resigned before he could impeach him. Not the Bidens, folks. They've got no dignity. They have no self-respect. They don't respect the office. They don't respect this country. They don't respect you. They don't respect our flag, America, nothing. And here we are, folks. So when when Chin Music says, you know, right, this is where we're at, he's nailed it. If you can't arrest these fucking clowns for everything they've been caught, everything that's been exposed, there should be an outrageous roar heard from DC over this corruption, this filth, this lack of respect. It shouldn't even take an impeachment. They should just arrest him and haul his ass, dragging him down the fucking steps and off of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Period. There's just zero doubt about this, folks. We don't need a fucking trial at this point. The evidence is, as we've said, right in our hands. How hard is this? What do you think? What's on your mind? There's zero respect, folks, and we're supposed to be worried. This is what killed me. This is what absolutely got me the other day. Right, when this when this so-called coup, right, happened, this was the headline that came out. Let me get it up for you, right? Russia's mercenaries, a short-lived revolt as it was, could have long-term consequences for Putin, meaning Putin wasn't going to be able to properly run Russia. That Putin wouldn't have the respect of his Kremlin and the military and the rest of the bureaucratic apparatus, that the Russian parliament wouldn't respect him, that he wouldn't have power, that he was going to fall by the wayside. Bullshit. Right? So Putin is damaged now because Prigozhin, or whatever the fuck his name is, he, right, took $6 billion, right, and steered his military towards Russia and then away from Russia. Moscow. But Biden, Joe Biden is strong. Yeah, right. Despite the bribery, despite his son Hunter the crackhead, despite his dementia, despite all of his anti-America policies, there's no problem with Biden. But Putin, oh, that guy sucks. Really. Unbelievable, folks. The fucking temerity and belief system that's being just shoved down our throat. The bullshit, right? Unbelievable. Okay, I know I've been running my soup cooler quite a bit here. We've got 300 people live, heading to 400. I'd love to hit 500. The only way we're going to get there has nothing to do with me. Has everything to do with you guys. You guys are what made this channel happen at the end of 2013, right? At the end of 2013, folks, December of 2013, I kicked this channel off, and we grew and we grew, and we hit a couple hundred subscribers and a couple thousand, and we've grown at times explosively, other times just consistently to 80,000 subscribers, and here we are, sharing that internet address right up there. That is what has brought people to this channel, to help wake them up, to get them prepared, to understand what the fuck is going on. So you could share your opinions here in the comment sections, especially on Sunday Night Live, which we started just for Cerveza Bug Madness a couple years ago. And here we are, folks. Again, if it wasn't for you, YouTube would have killed this channel. If it wasn't for you guys hitting the thumbs up, hit thumbs up. If it wasn't for you sharing that address and texting, writing, emailing, calling, sending out, right, the internet address, the URL, that is what gets this channel spread, so we get more people involved in the world of paying fucking attention to what's really happening. What's paying attention, what's really happening. Oh, it's happening too. It's happening too. Okay, by the way, yes, I was out training in the sun today. You might notice the raccoon look. Wear your eye protection at all times when you're training. All right, let's do this. Folks, it is Sunday Night Live. It is your show. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but what do you want to talk about? Jolene, we have some super chat donations. What do we got? We've got Will Sevi with a $5 super chat donation. Good to have you back, Will. And he says, the Wagner thing was a nothing burger. Was it a distraction? I'll tell you what, Will. The answer is yes. It was a distraction. Now, on top of Kim.com's expose pointing out some facts, me sharing an opinion that I think is very difficult to counter attack, right? How are you going to counter when you point out they were going to drive hundreds of miles with full, their full military and Kremlin, Moscow, knowing that there was a coup attempt coming? It was so, it was so out in the open, there's no way it could have been real. Yet all the idiots in Washington, D.C., yay, and Langley, Virginia, yeah, look at it, they're doing it, they're going to commit the coup, they're going after Moscow, they're going after Putin. It was so telegraphed, they saw it coming. You think that's going to fucking work, right? You point that out, and how is someone going to deny it? Oh, no, there's no argument. There's no argument between space-based weapons, between high-altitude bombing, between hypersonic missiles, supersonic jets, artillery, nuclear weapons. You think there's a fucking chance they could have made it? No. So it was a massive distraction, Will. You nailed it, buddy. You nailed it. It's a huge distraction. In fact, I'll tell you what. I have a funny feeling that the CIA paid that money to Preparedness. And he said, you are to do this. And so they when we say you turn tail and head to Moscow, right? When we say that's the time, you've got to do it. And so all of this shit is coming out about Biden, all the absolute scumbaggery of the Bidens is being exposed, and at the same exact time, the private military contractor, the mercenary force that is kicking the shit out of the Ukrainians, is going to turn and bite the hand that feeds it, or bite the throat of the country that feeds it. They're going to go after Moscow. At that exact same moment, all this shit coming out on Biden. What do you think Biden? The deep state. That's right, folks, the deep state. That's why I played our good buddy, Steny Hoyer, dipshit extraordinaire, who actually legitimized the existence of the deep state. A cadre of patriots, my ass. They're like, that's it. We've got to distract the world and pull the trigger on our CIA plan that was in place. All eyes and focus are right back now on Biden. This idea that Putin is weak, folks, it's fucking Vladimir Putin. He's controlled Russia since the fall of the Soviet Union. You think for a fucking second he's weak? You think for a second after this much time he doesn't have solid allies within every bureaucratic institution? The man ran the fucking KGB. You know he has over the years weeded out and continues to weed out anyone that he doesn't like. That's why he got the title, you bloodthirsty, murderous dictator, right? Well, let's see. I think Biden is called the leader of China, Xi Jinping. He's called him a dictator. Whoops, that was a mistake. Well, fucking Fox News called Biden a wannabe dictator. He's not even good enough to be a dictator. Okay, so if Putin is the murderous dictator that the West wants to think he is, do you think he hasn't taken out every single detractor and shown how powerful he is and in control and in charge? And if there's anybody trying to get around him, he's probably got agents, double agents, triple agents, and counterintelligence, mega counterintelligence. He's got the GRU sniffing the butts of the KGB, and they know what the fuck they're doing. Right? You don't hear about Democrats and Republicans fighting in Russia, do you? That's our thing over here, where we have political infighting. In Russia, not so much. Maybe there's some disagreements. Maybe Sergei Lavrov doesn't have a lot of love for other members in the KGB, but I'll tell you what, they know what country they fucking serve. Mother Russia. That's one cold, cold place I never, ever, ever want to go to. I would like to go to St. Petersburg, though. I hear they have some great museums and a lot of really beautiful things, but it's cold, and I don't like cold. I also don't like the idea of being arrested by the Russians any more than I would like the idea of being arrested by the fucking DC douchebags. Anyways, Will, yes, it was a distraction. It failed utterly. The whole operation failed utterly. President failed utterly if he was intending to actually commit a coup. And he's lucky to get out of it with his life if it wasn't a double agent move. All right, that's great. I hope you enjoyed that little piece. I've got my opinion. What's yours? Jolene, who's next on the Prepared Mind channel, Sunday Night Live Zoo? And it's Shelly Chavers with a $50 super chat donation, which means that we're going to knock the piss out of this bottle of 18-year Glenlivet. Woo! Hang on to your hats. I got to pour one before we get into Shelly's comment here. And I really do want to thank you guys for supporting the channel. Whether they're super chat donations or $50 or $100 or $5, it doesn't matter, folks. Everything you do helps keep me in this chair, keeps the entire operation going. I salute you all. Thank you, Shelly. Semper Fi, bottoms up. Salut. Prost. She says, finally, power finally on in Northeast Texas. That's good news. Been out for several days. That is too long, folks, in a heat wave in Northeast Texas. Shelley continues, lessons learned by my retired veteran who was Signal Corps and master electrician. Be sure you have a transfer switch on your water well if it's directly hooked to the breaker. Yes. Her retired veteran must be your husband. I'm not making fun of everybody or anybody. You can make a mistake very easily. Look out. So, folks, having a water well is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Having your own water, not relying on the city water or any other municipal water source. It's a good thing, but you've got to have power to run it. That was an issue I constantly faced when I was in Northern California, is how do I get water out of the well? If the power goes out, I run a generator. Do I get a 12-volt submersible pump? You know, you've got to know how deep the well is. You've got to know your business. You need to be a master electrician or an electrician or a water well specialist, or hire one to help you set it up. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Water is so important. You can live longer without food than you can without water. And if you drink bad water, you can be hospitalized in a matter of hours. You can be sick to your stomach in an hour or less if you get bad water. You can die from drinking bad water. So having water is critical. And if you got access to water through a well, make sure you can get that water out of there properly. And having a transfer switch is a good idea. I put in a few of them myself for friends, other, shall we say, brothers, right? So when you lose power from the grid, you throw the master switch over, pow, it transfers you over to generator power. Some people have automatic ones, folks. They just cost more money. But once you transfer power, you're running off your generator. Yeah, but you would definitely need a transfer switch to get over there. A lot of times, get this and understand, folks, again, if you've got a generator and you aren't absolutely certain, a lot of times your water well will be running off of a different set of circuits or a different breaker set. Right? The breaker set for that could be way back on your power panel, and it goes right from your power panel or meter panel to your well, and your house is running off of another breaker. And so getting power over to your well is a little bit tricky. Anyways, that's the way these things work. I had a very similar setup at my place. The last one I built, the, shall we say, Preparedmind Fortress, that is now owned by someone else. But that's how it ran. But it was a very quick, I had a nice system set up there. It was very good. I had a separate generator gen set for the well, which was a long ways from the home, and it worked great. Get your system set up, test it, make sure it works. Just kill the main breaker at the meter, and then see what works and doesn't work on your generator system or your solar system. All right, thank you so much, Shelley, for that one. And it's working, folks, right? The Glenn Levitt 18 is working. You know, the tingling means it's working. Anyways, here we are. It is Sunday. It's Sunday Night Live. We're live at the zoo. This is your show. Let everyone know this is where we're at. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe. Right? There's a bell. I believe it's right down here, a notification bell. We send out posts, we send out messages, we send out jokes, and we send out notifications that videos are coming. Right? And when a video is released, it sends out a notification. If you don't have that bell clicked, you may not ever hear from me again. And it's not that I don't want to tell you that there's news going on, but YouTube definitely wants to keep me silent. Silent. All right. Let's do this. Let's do some more super chats. Who do we got next, Jolene? We've got Will City back with a $2 super chat donation. And he says, thoughts on the 223 Remington Ballistics. I'll tell you what. the 223 or the 5.56 NATO round, they were chosen for a very specific reason. The U.S. military used to fire every rifleman had a M14. I mean, they had the M1 with the 30 carbine round. They used that in Korea. They went back to the M14 with the 308, which is a 308 Winchester, but it was the military designation or NATO designation was 7.62. But they chose in Vietnam to go to the 5.56 or the 223 caliber. You know, the 5.56 is a millimeter and the 223 caliber Remington. Right, and there is just a tiny bit of difference in the cartridges between the two, but they're the same. The reason they chose, and I learned this in doing my research in high school. In fact, one of the posts I did today, I was wearing a shirt very similar to this, back when I was just a little high school guy. Right, been prepping quite a while, folks. Been preparing, knowing what course of events I was going to take in my life. I looked up and I found out, why did they choose, right, the 5.56 over the 7.62 or the 308? Well, the 308, when you hit someone with it, it kills them right away. Right? It's a much more lethal round. So if you hit someone with that in the kill zone, right, chest all the way down to the lower abdomen, they're basically dead right away, instantly. It's a good thing. But if you hit someone with a 5.56, they're probably going to die, but also many of them will live. And they'll be screaming and yelling, and it'll take the enemy, right? The enemy has to fix them up. The enemy has to drag them back to safety. It takes people, and this was the thoughts that were passed on through the research I did back then. That, yeah, the enemy will attend to their wounded, drag them off the front line, right? Take their resources to have to deal with it, right? It doesn't take any medics to deal with a dead person. It takes a medic to deal with someone who's just badly injured. So that's what the deal is for, is to slow down, to make the enemy's forces less, how do we say this, less effective. It wasn't to give our troops an inferior caliber weapon with which to fight the enemy. Now, as far as the ballistics go, the 223 or 5.56 is less effective on range than the 308. Heavier 308 bullet is going to fly further and flatter because of the powder charge behind it. It has a better ballistic coefficient, but it's also a much heavier bullet. So carrying the difference in weight, right? If you ever carry a full combat load, folks, put 300 rounds of ammunition in box magazines, put them in your tactical vest and run around with it, and you'll feel how heavy they are. Then do yourself a favor and carry 600 rounds of ammunition, because that's how much heavier the 308 or the 7.62 ammunition is. It's much, much heavier. The weight of the bullet, the weight of the brass cartridges, and even the magazines themselves are heavier. So that is a big difference. How much can you carry? How much firepower can you carry? The ballistic coefficient, the ballistic hit, the kill ratio for the 7.62 or the 308 is way better. At the same time, there's a tactical reason behind going with the ballistics of the 5.56 millimeter or 223. I'll leave it at that. Will, just wanted to give you a more complete answer, in my opinion. I love my ARs, right? My M16 I had as a jarhead that I qualified as rifle expert with. The lethality of that, if you can put rounds down range into the 5X area, it scares the hell out of people. Don't kid yourself. Anyone who thinks the 7.62 is the only way to go, it's not. Anyways, I won't play Gunny Highway and say I'll put a round through a flea's ass at 200 yards. I don't know if I got that kind of vision anymore, but I'm not willing to test it on myself. Anyways, let us go on. Let's do this. Let's have some more fun with it. Jolene, super chat donation. We have Chin Music with a $9.99 super chat, and it's Chin Music. He says, John, Fox ran the Myron, calling Biden a dictator for 27 seconds. Then they fired the producer who approved it. Yeah, when they just like this down here, this block that says Chin Music, and what he said, Fox ran that, and it said wannabe dictator Biden, right? Yada yada yada, has his political opponent arrested. That was played, and it only ran for 27 seconds. I thought it ran longer than that. Anyways, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it took an incredible amount of guts, some real backbone, to put some real truth, some facts up on the screen. There is a, how do we put this? There's a war going on in our country right now. There's a war. There is a war in our country for control of the media, the military, the bureaucracy, the Congress, the president, the White House, Supreme Court. There's a war for everything, folks, that's going on. There really is. Let me give you a taste of this. I mean, it's going on, folks. People are fighting back. But it is. Now, I mean, get this. A Clinton-appointed judge. That means a judge that was appointed somewhere between 1992 and 2000. This Clinton-appointed judge has made a ruling, and I think he had a 54-page crock of shit explanation for his belief system. This judge ruled that taxpayers must fund Florida sex changes through Medicaid, including for minors. We're at war, folks, in this country right now. In the media, right? There was a war going on. They got rid of Tucker Carlson. Then they're like, hey, Tucker's not allowed to talk. They want to silence anyone, folks, that disagrees, right? They do. The same jackass judge, folks, Judge Hinkle, is also responsible for partially stopping the enforcement of the state's ban on sex changes for minors. He had his filthy, disgusting personal politics that he used in this war on your country, your morality, right? In one particular section of his ruling, he says, gender identity is real. Of course it is. I have a penis, I'm a male. A woman has a vagina, she's a female. That is real gender identity. Having a penis and saying you're a woman is not gender identity. Anyways, the guy says gender identity is real. The elephant in the room should be noted at the outset. Gender identity is real, he repeats. The record makes this clear. Okay. Gender fiction, right? Gender lies. Gender dysphoria is also real, and it's a mental illness. Anyways, let me continue. Judge Hinkle, appointed by Clinton, said this: any proponent of the challenged rule and statute should put up or shut up. Do you acknowledge that there are, this is actually from his fucking ruling. The judge says put up or shut up. Do you acknowledge that there are individuals with actual gender identities opposite their natal sex? Meaning they have gender identities, problems, mental problems, opposite how they were born. Of course, these freaks are out there. He says dog whistles ought not to be tolerated. What is a dog whistle? Folks, these are social terms, not legal terms. Put up or shut up is not a legal maxim of law. Dog whistles are not a legal term. He compared, folks, getting sex changes funded with public money, Medicaid, to being discriminated against based on your race. That's how fucked in the head these people are, folks. That's how bad these people are. He claimed that transgender people, quote, continue to suffer widespread private approbation and governmental discrimination, notably in the rule and statute law now under real. So what he's saying is that, well, this is just a horrible law, that the government of the government has the ability to decide what is and is not law. In other words, folks, you and I, the people, we have an issue, and so we have government try and settle it for us. The government votes on a law and says that's the law. Well, someone doesn't like it, so they challenge it in court. The court comes back and says, well, we don't agree with the law, or we agree with the law. So one court says yes, they uphold it, another court says no, and they throw it and cast it aside. If the people as individuals can't solve a problem, they give to the government. The government says we got an answer, but the government can't decide. Then the judges decide or can't decide. It comes back to the people. Ultimately, folks, we're going to be fighting a nasty, nasty civil war, a partisan war. This is going on right now, folks. A war for our country. We're in it, folks. We're in it. Uh-oh, let me get that back. Not that one. Okay, let's do this. Let us do this. I tell you, I keep getting all these messages popping up. It's too much. It's too much. The war for this country, for our freedom, for our lives, for everything. While the federal government in Washington, D.C. is telling us that, yes, right, Russia's at war with itself. They're having a coup d'etat. They're having a revolt. Here in America, there's a complete and total revolt against all things normal. Here is the last warning for America, folks. Topless drag queens and trans activists and other LGBTQI fruitcakes were at their New York City Pride March. And this is what they were screaming. Topless drag queens, folks. We're here, we're queer, and we're coming after your children. Folks, these freaks are committing infanticide. They're committing genitalcide. They're pushing for children to become trannies, to become homosexuals, to become filth. This is the war we're in our country. And states are fighting back. States are fighting back right now. Yeah. States are fighting back. They're passing laws to protect children, to protect us. And these judges, folks, right? Because I keep getting asked, how do we fight back? How do we win, John? Well, we send good people to Washington, D.C., and we force them, we tell them to fight. And then at the state level, we do the same thing and tell them, pass laws to protect kids. And they're doing it. Except in states like Washington State and California, where if your kid wants a sex change operation or to be called by a different pronoun, if you as a parent don't agree or don't allow them or don't recommend it and get it done, then the child can be taken from you and the government will get it done for them. We're at war right now, folks. Sunday Night Live, we're at war with these people. This is who they are. This is what they sing. We're here, we're queer, and we're coming after your children. Do you remember, was it last year or the year before? The gay men's choir from San Francisco sang a song. They put them all over the internet talking about how they're coming for your children. It was 2 years ago at least. And here they are now singing the same bullshit. Folks, it's lawfare. It is using the legal system to fight war. It's unbelievable. But, folks, believe it. It is real. It is totally real. In New York City, folks, topless women dancing in the park, playing with children, at a water party, in the fountains. Folks, destruction follows this level of gayness. It follows it. It really does. There's no room, folks, for these people on the planet. What do I mean by that? There's no room. They can't stand, right? They can't. There's no room for these people. Let me take the fight elsewhere. These people, the Democrats, the socialists in America, want to let in every illegal immigrant and just allow them in. They think it's cute. They think it's funny. The mayor of New York says people need to let them into their homes to provide them with a place to stay and to eat and to live. Well, one particularly idiotic woman took in a migrant as a host family. So this woman and her daughter, her teenage daughter, were nearly stabbed to death by this migrant. Folks, the price of ignoring facts and reality, right? Walk in a lion cage, you're going to get eaten. Invite in an illegal immigrant that hasn't been checked by the government. Have their, who are they? Have they committed crimes that we know of? Have they gotten into America before illegally and been exported? Or rather, just shot out of a fucking cannon back across the border, right? The price of ignoring facts is this. It truly is. The price of ignoring facts. It's incredible, folks. Here we are. All right, let's get your super chat, your questions, your thoughts in, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk. But before we get there, I want to bring up the subject of the ticking time bomb. This is my thoughts on it, folks. Today we have fruitcakes with regret. I got you, Jolene. We have fruitcakes that regret their trans surgeries. And we have violence from fruitcakes who hate the world and want to kill us for what they've done to themselves. There's a ticking time bomb going on right now, folks. There was a documentary that was supposed to come out and be released to the public so they could learn from the mouths of transsexuals, people who got trans surgeries, trans procedures, taken trans drugs, who changed their mind, who realized that wasn't who they were, realized they were tricked, realized it wasn't all it was cracked up to be, realized they were going to cause problems for themselves medically, emotionally, psychologically, and physically the rest of their fucking lives. They weren't warned about the dangers, the troubles, the medical issues that were going to plague them the rest of their fucking lives. And so many have committed suicide. They're doing it to themselves, folks, not us. Many are trying to learn the hard way that they can't go back. And many of them have just become violent psychopaths. And they become sexual predators against children. And that's today, folks. And they've only been doing this trans thing for a few years now, where they've really pushed it in schools with children. Not just high schoolers, but down to kindergartners, just the last few years. But they're already, folks, cracking up and losing their shit, committing suicide, and becoming violent murderers. So imagine, folks, the violence from an even greater population of suicidal, regretting, and homicidal cisgender haters. In other words, if we had 1,000 trannies 10 years ago, that number is going to be 100,000 trannies today. And how many years do you think it's going to take before they realize it was the wrong thing to do, and to either hate themselves or hate the rest of us for what they've done to themselves? Because they can't blame themselves, can they? They can't accept responsibility. So imagine the violence that's coming today at us that we won't see for 5 years or 10 years from now, as today's pansies and transies get their surgeries, get their drugs, destroy themselves, and then find out that they did the wrong thing or want to take it out on everyone else. All the teachers and politicians and doctors, all the news media supporters have created this time bomb of violence that's going to be coming for us as these trannies realize their lives are ruined and they want to blame us. Normies, folks, us, me and you, normies, regular people will be further attacked, and the coming children of normal people will be attacked twice as hard by them, and they're going to demand twice as much, right? They're going to demand twice as much. The children need to be sacrificed, right, to this World Health Organization sex education program, all of the trans drag freaks and drag queens and everyone else, all the pornography in schools. They're going to push it twice as hard. Right? Are you ready for a war with these people, folks? Well, it's already here now. It's already here with judges making these rulings that I pointed out that are so obscene, so perverted, so illogical, folks, that it's impossible to deny. There is no safety anywhere, folks, no safe institution in government. Right? The people can't decide right and wrong, so it's given to politicians. Politicians can't decide what's right and wrong because we're all diametrically opposed to each other, so they give it to judges. Judges can't decide right and wrong because, right, there's judges that have law and history and the Constitution on one hand, and then people with a political, social, sexual agenda on the other. There's no way that we can reconcile, folks. So you and I, as the people of the United States, and the fruitcakes on the other side, are going to have to work it out for ourselves, aka partisan conflict resolution techniques. Partisan conflict resolution techniques. And folks, only one side can win. This is biblical at this point, folks. This is biblical at this point. And I don't mean go out and start talking the Bible. I mean, I've got an article. I've got rather an example of how it was handled at this country called, or this city called Sodom, right? Sodomites, buttfuckers, sodomite, right? So there's a problem in Sodom. God sent 2 angels to destroy Sodom. Sodom was a culture of gay perversion. So Lot, this biblical character, welcomed them to his home. But the men of the town, all of the fruitcakes, surrounded the house and demanded that Lot hand over, right, these angels, these messengers, so that they could know them, which means anally screw them, right? Well, Lot says, here, take my daughters. And they refuse that, right? The gays reject cis-normal relationships, right? Normies, they reject that. So this is a story about the process that's being gone through from the Bible. It's happened before. So we don't have to learn, folks, from our own experiences. Let's look to the Bible, right? He sends a messenger, God does, right? And says, hey, this is all fucked up. The faggots show up. They want to have sex with him. Lot says, take my daughters. They reject that, right? They threaten Lot to do worse to him. Sounds like rape to me, right? We want those guys, and if you don't give them to us, we're going to do worse to you, right? the angels strike the crowd blind. Folks, blindness means total ignorance. So the crowd has been struck with total ignorance. They have no idea how insane they sound. So these angels, these messengers tell Lot, hey, the outcry against its people, that is Sodom, has become too great, and it's time to destroy it. Right? So the outcry against the fruitcakes is unsustainable. You can't just keep yelling at them and telling them no, folks, because they're going to demand everything perverted under the sun be done to satisfy them. That's where we're at. That's the biblical story, folks, right there. These people have a culture of absolute perversion, and it's all about them getting what they want. And if you don't, they're going to do harm to you and everyone you know, and they're completely blind to intelligent thought and rational behavior, and it's unsustainable. It cannot be sustained, and therefore it will be destroyed. Their belief system, their thought. It is, folks, a ticking time bomb that's been put in front of us, with all of these kids being damaged, all of them being damaged. Doubt me not. Seriously, doubt me not. What do you think, folks? All right, let's do this. Folks, we passed the hour. We're into our second hour. Jolene, what do we want to do? Who wants to talk? Who has something to say? Who has on this, the Sunday Night Live show? It is your show, your turn, right? You can direct the way we go. Dun, 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 dun. Where is she? Ooh, man. Do you see the next one? It is Will Savi with a $5 super chat. Civilizations have always followed a path of decline. Can you point out some markers of American decline? Yes, we can. One of the great markers of decline was the 1840s, then 50s, when the North started telling the South, corporations were telling the farmers who they could sell and who they couldn't sell their crops to, their clothing, their cotton. Now, at the same time we were suffering this decline, we had another problem, or rather we had another benefactor, and that would be the industrialization of the country. So industrial power was creating a better world for us. At the same time, you could say political corruption was taking place at the same time. Another example, a huge one, path of decline, would be the creature from Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve. When our country, our government, once again turned over the control of our currency to a private banking cartel. That was huge. The League of Nations was an attempt by Woodrow Wilson, president during the, actually just a little over 100 years ago, during the teens, the 19 teens. Woodrow Wilson tried getting us into the League of Nations. It failed. It was a threat to American sovereignty, but we ended up with the United Nations instead. And we've been dealing with that and suffering under this idea that, well, an international treaty should supersede our Constitution. Well, with regard to, how the United States deals with other countries, fine, let that treaty work. The way a treaty affects you and me, the people, if it's repugnant to the Constitution, then it cannot stand. Yet they want to believe that the UN can tell us what to do. That was a huge one. The huge one. We had a coup d'etat, which was another marker in the 1930s that forever changed this country, when there was a literal coup d'etat, an attempted assassination of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, because he was sympathetic to communism. So another form of socialism, okay, FDR was sympathetic to social communists. So a bunch of social fascists in New York City and London decided they would commit and stage a coup d'etat against FDR. And FDR didn't stop it, even though General Smedley Butler of the Marine Corps let him know what was going on. That marker pointed to an inability of government to defend our nation and the people against these anti-American forces. Another great marker was President Eisenhower, when he told the people in his farewell address about the military-industrial complex and warned of them and how powerful they were as a secret society using their corporate power and desire to build a massive military and control things. Folks, he was talking about the CIA and military contractors. The next president after Eisenhower tried stopping it. That would be John F. Kennedy. And he was assassinated and had his head blown off for it, publicly for the world to see. That was a huge marker of American decline. When you realize that the secret cabal, the deep state, who Steny Hoyer says are a bunch of patriots dedicated to carrying out the orders of the president. Yeah, my ass, Steny, you fucking moron, sell out. That was a huge marker, folks. Another huge marker was taking us off the gold standard under Richard Nixon. Here we are, folks. Here we are, right? There's all these markers. Anyways, Will, great question, great comment, great topic. There's a lot of markers along the way. And one of the greatest markers of all time was the 1990s, when the American people woke up and started forming patriot groups, sharing information with each other, abandoning the mainstream media. Shortly thereafter, the internet came along and we've been able to communicate with one another directly and through social media and internet, computer, powerful tools. And that, folks, marked the end of our complete and total ignorance as the people of what has happened to our country all along the way, and that freedom and liberty truly are the most precious things. And they are also, folks, freedom and liberty, they are the subject and the actual goal, or rather agenda, that government was founded to do. That is, protect our liberties, guarantee our freedoms, support them, and ensure that they exist. Instead, what has government shown us? That they're about the opposite of that. Look at what the government does now. Do you think that anything the government does, that Biden does, that these judges are doing, supports freedom and liberty? No, it's the opposite. Civilizations always follow a path of decline. It has to do with money and perversion, sexual perversion, every single time. Sometimes the transfer of power from one empire to another is easy. Sometimes it's hard. And at one point, folks, the nation of Spain, was going to rule the world under their Spanish Armada. They made a mistake. They went up, sailed up to England, and their Armada, their sea power, destroyed. There was a time when Portugal, right, the little teeny country on the Spanish or Iberian Peninsula, thought it was going to rule the world, and it fell by the wayside. Then came along the British Empire, right, and it went by the wayside. Why did those fail? Ignorance, stupidity, greed, etc., corruption. If it wasn't for those things, they wouldn't have failed. But instead, they choose corruption, folks, thievery, and it always destroys the currency, and it results in a perversion of all things that are good. All right, let us pick a couple of different subjects, if we shall. I mean, really, what else is going on out there that we need to talk about? This I found fascinating. Thank you, Jolene. Did you know that this weekend that both Joe and Hunter Biden went to Camp David together for a weekend getaway? What do you think the father and son team did over the weekend? You think they went out in a rowboat and did some fishing? Think they sat around and played checkers, or do you think they sat around and chewed on checkers together? They're probably scared to death. I mean, these two idiots are one potato, two potato, right? Well, it looks like the deep state is keeping them together now. Everywhere Joe is gone, folks, now Hunter is with him. Now, are they going to disappear? Are they going to be waxed? Could the deep state be willing to sacrifice the Joe and Hunter team and then blame Russia for it and say they were assassinated? To one, get rid of the Biden problem, and two, to blame Russia and create a huge distraction? Asking for a friend. That's all. All right, Jolene, we got some more Super Chat donations. Let's do it now. Who do we want to toss up there? It's Luke Thompson with a $5 Super Chat. He says, my taste buds have improved since I've given up Bud Light. I tell you, man, wow. It used to be an entirely different world, isn't it? Isn't it funny how that works? Right? Yeah, you quit drinking that stuff and your taste improves. Well, get this. When I read this, I've got it right here. Where the heck is it? Yep, there it is. Coors Light has joined Bud Light. Coors Light is now going to host the Pride Parade in Denver, Colorado. Apparently, they have learned absolutely nothing from Bud Light and their fiasco. Now, I don't know if Coors Light is going to put a screaming trans fruitcake on their can, but folks, add Coors and Coors products to your boycott list. In fact, let's just boycott all major beer companies and small beer. Boycott every company until they come out and they say to the world that they're anti-fruitcake, that they don't support trans or pride or gay or anything else. I want every company to come out and say, we support America, and leave it at that. We don't favor one group over another or any of that bullshit. Or we need to say this group is special so that we don't have to worry about them boycotting us. Folks, the gays don't drink Bud Light. The gays don't drink Coors Light. They don't drink Miller Lite or light beer by Miller. They don't drink this stuff. They're drinking their White Claws and their Trulies. They're drinking their Seltzers. Unbelievable, yeah. Fuck you, Coors. You're done. Bud Light, you're done. Anyways, thank you for bringing up Bud Light. The world has not forgotten, folks. America hasn't forgotten. America hasn't forgiven what these people are doing. Really, folks, for real. All right, Jolene, let's do this. What do we got? Who's next? Who has something to say? We're right at 350 people live. That's more than the President of the United States gets. But he doesn't come on to YouTube anymore. And if he does, it's to say something pre-programmed before his handlers pull him from the microphone. So Chin Music checks in, folks, with a 2223 Venmo Super Chat donation. He says, hey, the Boston drag party leaves one dead with 4 underage kids in the back room and all kinds of sex toys everywhere. Yeah, I talked about this the other day. Yeah. First responders show up at a fruitcake drag party. There's a dead person there. There's sex toys everywhere. There are fruitcakes loaded on drugs, committing who knows what kind of filthy acts while there's 4 children there. Yeah, these are great people, great role models. Now, and then here we go with this one. Thank you, Chin Music. Again, in New Jersey, I thought it was New Hampshire. Anyways, the first openly trans council member sentenced for possession of child porn. Well, it wasn't just child porn. I believe it was child abuse, sexual abuse. right? Porn, whatever. I mean, it's all just awful. That's who these people are. So, folks, Chin Music continues. As you mentioned in New York, there is no cure for the level of fruit salad freakery. Ask a cop what the rate of recidivism is for a sexual deviant. And Chin Music says, I'm willing to go down defending the innocence of children. And I am too, which is why I talk about this so much. These children need parents, they need teachers, they need schools, they need laws, they need police protecting them from these freaks. Protecting them, right? Oh, by the way, recidivism is the willingness and actual recommitting of crimes by criminals. So, a murderer who is let out from prison typically goes on to commit more violent acts. Same with other people who commit violent acts. Recidivism means they're going to commit more crimes and go back to jail. Thank you very much, Chin Music, for that great donation. These people have their Pride Month. Pride Month, folks. Pride. What's to be proud of with what they're doing? Okay, I get some more. We got naked women and topless women in fountains, just dancing and frolicking with children all over the place while they're half nude. We've got in New York City again, or New Jersey, or wherever the hell it was, you've got topless drag queens and other fruitcakes singing, we're here, we're queer, and we're gonna take your children. In Seattle, during the Seattle Pride Parade, men fully naked on bicycles are exposing their genitals to children. What part of this, what part of any of this is prideful, proud of? Go ahead and tell me. Where's the pride? What's there to be proud of with these people? Joe Biden taking showers with his daughter. Hunter Biden sleeping with his dead brother's wife, with hookers, snorting coke, smoking weed, crack cocaine, making deals with the Chinese, threatening them. He's got his daddy with him, doing dirty deals in Ukraine, accused by many folks of sex trafficking, prostitution, human trafficking. But he got out of that investigation because Daddy Biden did what? He has publicly admitted to this, folks, that he threatened to withhold money from Ukraine if they didn't stop the investigation. That's what we're dealing with here. That's what we're dealing with here, folks. That's what we're dealing with here. Our country's falling apart, folks. That's what we're dealing with here. Why isn't he impeached? Why aren't all these people being removed from office, whether they're in Congress or whether on a fucking school board? It's unbelievable, folks. And it's not just some northern state, it's the whole planet. Folks, these are freaking global perverts. Globalist perverts. The World Health Organization, the WHO, folks. You have the same people that brought you cerveza bug and told you that what you know to be true isn't, and that your cure for the problem didn't work. I'm not allowed to talk about that stuff. Well, the same organization, the WHO, has a, quote, comprehensive sexuality education program. That's right, the World Health Organization wants to teach young children to masturbate. Years ago, if you were to be known to be teaching children all about the joys and fun of masturbation, teaching them that in school, you would be locked up for your own protection. You would be locked in a jail because you were going to be charged with crimes, and hopefully, right, you wouldn't be murdered by someone for doing that kind of shit. Well, here we are. It's not just, folks, a local issue. It's all around the world. Global perverts, folks. Why are they doing that? They want to destroy our culture and our civilization. Any doubts? Who wants to doubt me? All right. Yeah. I'm one more taste, folks. Another Clinton judge, folks. Not the other one, but this one, right? I've got another Clinton judge who wants to temporarily block the Florida drag show law. Now, I want you to hear the illogic of the judge. I want you to hear the agenda behind this judge. Listen carefully. This is from an article, right? This Clinton-appointed federal judge, folks, Friday blocked Florida's drag show law, which is aimed at protecting children. Here's the quote from this judge. Quote, "The state claims that this statute seeks to protect children generally from obscene live performances. Rather, this statute is specifically designed to suppress the speech of drag queen performers." That's what Judge Gregory Presnell wrote, that the statute is designed to suppress the free speech of drag queen performers. No, it's not. Drag queen performers can perform all they want in their homes, in their show places, but they're not allowed to perform in front of children. So a place that wants to allow children in cannot allow drag show performers. That's up to that business to decide. Do you want children or adults? Because if you want adults, you can be drag queen fruitcakes. If you want children, no. It's not suppressing the speech. Dancing with your weenie hanging out is not, as far as I'm concerned, a performance. It's a lewd and lascivious and obscene act. And you don't have a right to expose children to it. You can't go down the street doing it in public. So what makes you think you can do it in a business in front of children? Now, the judge continues, folks, right? They have the right to perform all they want. You don't have the right to make other people watch it. And you certainly don't have the right to do it in front of children. But that's not what this federal judge had to say. He continues, though. Existing obscenity laws provide the defendant with the necessary authority to protect children from any constitutionally unprotected obscene exhibition of shows, right? What he's saying is we already have laws to protect the state and their authority to protect children. If that's the case, then what he's saying is we already have obscenity laws, and these drag queens should be arrested for exposing children to lewd, obscene sexual acts, right? So let's just say, okay, judge, you're right. You know better because you're a judge. This is why I have to say, folks, that judges are at war with each other. The courts are at war with each other, and they're at war with us. Just ask yourself, okay, if this judge is right, does keeping children out of hard liquor bars suppress the bartender's right to perform his bartender duties? Should children be allowed in bars? And should they be served by bartenders because that's what bartenders do, is serve hard alcohol? Or is the state charged with protecting minors from drinking alcohol, which they are not prohibited, or for which they are prohibited from consuming? Right. How about this? Does keeping kids from buying handguns suppress the right of gun store owners to perform their duties? Their job is to sell guns. Isn't it their right to sell guns? And if a child walks in, shouldn't they be allowed to sell a gun to a child? Right? Or does the state have the right to regulate that kind of behavior, those sorts of actions as well? Right? Kids don't get alcohol, kids don't get guns because they're kids. The state has a right to those laws, so it would make sense, right? So judges, folks, are at war with reality. They're at war with logic, and they're at war with one another, and they want to make us obey them. I don't see anything other than violence, folks. as a way to solve this. Remember Judge Solomon, right? King Solomon had two women arguing over whose baby, right? This person, this little baby, folks. Two women were arguing about who owned the baby, whose baby it was. So it was brought before King Solomon, another biblical character. And both women swore up and down. One lied, one told the truth. But they both swore it was their baby. So Solomon said, fine, let's cut the baby in half. And you each get half the baby. Well, one woman said, that's fine by me. And the other one said, no, no, no. You know, so King Solomon said, hey, obviously you care about the baby. It's yours. So the other one, he said, well, you wanted to kill the baby. You're willing to kill the baby. It's not yours. These Democrats, folks, these wackos, these fruitcakes are willing to sacrifice children, their innocence. They're willing to break the law. They're willing to leave logic and common sense. They're willing to cut the baby in half, to destroy it, to get what they want. Who is right and who is wrong? Right? Since King Solomon isn't here to fix things, folks, since war is declared on the people by judges, it's going to come back to us, the people, to solve this. Because the fruitcake left isn't going to go away. They're not going to quit. You can't reason with them, folks. They're not intelligent. At some point, their acts of violence against children, whether it's these sexual acts or whether it's the mass murder of straight people by these weirdos, it's going to finally happen at some point. People are going to put an end to it. There's no other way for it to be resolved. You cannot argue. You cannot argue with evil this way. They've created a ticking time bomb and it will go off. All right, let's do this. Jolene, who do we have next? Who has a super chat donation? It's James McSkinnis. Hey, John. He says, if I owed... If my owed super sticker message is still valid, how about happy summer to everyone, and I hope not too many people are under surveillance or being supervised, etc. Hey, thank you, John. I hope you're well. We've got our hands full, man. Spreading the word, spreading peace. Very, very, we have a powerful mission, folks. Now, I've got this one. This is a message that was sent to me by Mr. Skylight. And I want everyone to understand this, right? Dr. Betsy Eads is out there. There's a lot of doctors, folks, fighting for our health. And says that cancer is now exploding, meaning it is spreading or metastasizing, growing, etc., at an alarming rate, because of the Jim Jones juice. That's right, folks. The Jim Jones juice is still out there. It's still doing what it does. It's not going away. I don't want you guys to think that I've forgotten it. So between that story from Mr. Skylight, who sent that to me, thank you very much, sir, along with a lot more information he sent me, I've got this. Oh, it's still going, folks. Take a wild guess. There's a basketball player out there, folks. 28-year-old. He's not just a basketball player. He's a professional basketball player. And guess what? It was not a good news story. The good news was this guy came out and he blamed, folks. He blamed the Jim Jones juice for the myocarditis that he was suffering from. That's right, he blamed it. Right? This guy was from Dominica, the Dominican Republic. His name was Oscar Cabrera Adames, right? Thursday, folks, he's trying to get his health back, right? He went and took a stress test. He was undergoing this stress test, folks, and he died of a heart attack. 28 years old. Health issues, myocarditis. He says, man, it was the Jim Jones juice. He ended up having a fucking heart attack while trying to figure out what's wrong with him and get his life back. Right? Was the stress test the direct cause of his heart attack? Or was he going downhill, right? Remember, imagine this, man. Imagine you're a super athlete, a professional athlete. Imagine that. You're 28. You don't think you're just going to keel over, right? You're like, man, I was bulletproof. And I remember when I was bulletproof in my 20s and 30s. Bulletproof. You think I can just take a stress test, we'll figure this thing out, doc, and wham, heart attack, dead. Just like that. Just like that. Folks, we're at an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm not even done with my stuff. We're not done with your questions because we got more super chat donations. Jolene, let's see who is next. And we got Chin Music back again. Pow, $9.99. He says, John, I can't stand Hollywood, but when a good movie comes along, we should support it if we can. Jim Caviezel has a new movie, Sound of Freedom. The subject matter is human trafficking. He says, I got my tickets. Now, I'll tell you what, folks, Jim Caviezel starred as Jesus Christ in the movie that came out years ago. It was a big deal. And he had kind of some waking moments. Now, once again, I don't believe in actor worship, but I do believe in good movies, right? They had this movie, this documentary that came out about trannies who regret what they were doing, and the trans community screamed and yelled and got it boycotted and pulled down. Now, Jim Caviezel, folks, has come out and he has stated, in fact, we covered this story this week, and I'm sure this caused Chin Music to go take a look at what I was talking about and what is out there, or Chin Music already knew on his own and was looking for it. He came out and said that the U.S. government and its institutions, its bureaucracies, are part and parcel involved in the trafficking of human beings for the purposes of sexual exploitation. So can we put that back up there, please, Jolene? So yeah, the movie is called Sound of Freedom. Support it, folks, because it is out there to expose. And Jim Caviezel, I hope he has FU money. I hope he does. So he can tell Hollywood, F you. I don't need you. Right? There's athletes that are doing that. There's comedians that are doing that. There are businessmen that are doing that, saying, you don't own me, you can't control me. We all need to be like that, folks. We all need to be Spartacus, right? Not slaves to the corrupt, filthy government. I'm glad you got your tickets, man. It's going to come out, folks. It's going to come out. Thank you, Chin Music, very much for all you do, the support, the topics, the subject matter, and everything else. Thank you to others. Bonnie Blue, we got Cottage Farm. We've got Mr. Skylight. We've got so many people that support this channel in the background. Right? We got people overseas, down in Australia, over in England, right? Like Stephen Conlon shows up. We've got Remy Marsh over there in the Netherlands that provides us information. If it wasn't for all you guys, we wouldn't be here now. Big, little, doesn't matter. You guys support what's going on. You support the channel. You bring your content, your information. Orlando and others, always right there, folks, sending me stuff. John Miskinnis, helping out, sending information, thoughts. And I wish I had more time in a day. I wish there were more hours in a day, more days in a week. In fact, I think we should switch to an 8-day work week and take 3 off, or maybe go to a 4-day work week and take 3 off. I think that would be great. Oh, that's a wish I have, not going to come true. So instead, let's do this. Let's take a look at another one of your questions, comments, or thoughts. And it is Matt D with a $5 super chat donation. And he says this: purple LEDs are still popping up in Minnesota. And I see lines so big at McDonald's or fast food restaurants every day, there's a cancer. Purple LEDs are popping up in Minnesota. You lost me, man. For some reason, I completely just drew a freaking blank. Jolene, get mad. What are you saying? What are purple LEDs? I could be missing this, folks. I've been so focused on everything else. Did something happen in Minnesota? Purple LEDs and big lines, right? Lines so big in McDonald's or fast food restaurants, there's a cancer. Well, folks, there's the cancer. I see. There's so much wrong. Where do you start? Well, you got to start by waking people up. You got to start by realizing we should be eating good food. We got to start by realizing we need a moral foundation as a country. We got to start realizing, folks, that these ding-dongs out here are trying to destroy us. For real, right? Here's another one. Here's an absolute another one. Joe Biden, right, has an attorney now. Oh, okay. Just leave that on screen, please, Zoom-man. Joe Biden uses secret global cell phone while he was vice president. And that was paid for by Hunter Biden's firm or business. Folks, that is another crime that has been committed by Joe Biden that's been exposed. Where's the mainstream media outrage? If President Trump was using an unauthorized private phone to conduct any business, he would have been impeached in 5 freaking seconds, and the Republicans would have voted for his conviction in the Senate. Right? That's a huge crime. The president is not allowed. The vice president, they're not allowed. Hillary Clinton, secretaries, they're not allowed. It's a violation of ethics, and it's a violation of trust that they're having private conversations that we're not privileged to hear. It's called accountability. Now, okay, here we go. So Uman says lots of places are reporting purple LEDs at the street lights. And Uman says saw them in Florida when I was down there. And there's a conspiracy about what they actually are. Uman, go ahead and write up real quick what that conspiracy theory is. Now, I myself, while down south, have seen these purple lights and thought, what the hell is this? And I thought back to what I know about lighting and light colors, about the value of light waves. I thought about light pollution. Are these purple lights designed to put less light back up in the atmosphere? I don't know what it's all about. I haven't really followed it. I know a lot of people have complained about it. And I know that some municipalities said, oh, we didn't know that was actually happening. So what is this conspiracy theory? I know what the food conspiracy theory is. Like in California, they're now going to start serving just bio goo that they're going to call chicken, right? Synthetic printed chicken. They're going to use a 3D printer to make chicken out of different various goo, bio sludge. I can tell you what, I'm not eating that shit. So Uman says, hey, there's several conspiracy theories about these purple LED streetlights. One is that lets them tell if you've been jabbed. Another is mind control, and a few others. Well, I'll tell you what, the jab thing, purple streetlights. Haven't followed it in a while. Thanks, man. I'm glad you know more about it than me. Okay, if you go into a strip club and you pull out money, real money glows under the purple lights in a strip club. Counterfeit money does not. So the stripper who's offering to give you a lap dance will see that your money be fake. And if you were to do that, pull out some fake money because it's dark, right? Everyone's confused and all horny and stupid. If you pull out fake money and try passing it off, there'll be a very large bouncer come over and fuck you up. Now, I'm 270 pounds, right? 275. I've been as high as 305 pounds. I walked into a strip club in North Sac once, and good God, the guy at the door was huge. This huge black dude. And I go, man, how fucking big are you? He goes, I'm 440 pounds. I said, I'll tell you what, man, I'll behave. It was one of the funniest interactions I've ever had. And he just fucking chuckled. He goes, I hope so. You know, way crazy. Way crazy. A friend of mine, someone I knew in her 40s, decided she was going to become a stripper. Just wow. Whatever, right? People make funny decisions. Okay, folks, but you know, this crime, the White House, that Joe Biden had a private phone, private global phone, right? These people, folks, they don't have any decency. I mean, Hunter, you want to go, you know, screw around, you want to, you know, the things they're doing are incredible, right? Now, the crimes they're excusing in Washington are inexcusable, unbelievably inexcusable. Yet that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to deny that they're happening. Remember that IRS whistleblower came out and said, hey, man, we've got all kinds of interference in the Biden investigations, right? The IRS gave over all of these crimes committed by the Bidens. So Merrick Garland comes out and denies that there was any interference. So this IRS whistleblower comes back out again and says, look, I've got 6 additional witnesses that will testify in response, right? It's not just one person, folks, 6 more witnesses to the criminal information that should turn into an indictment. Folks, there's no honesty in DC. There's no integrity in the White House. There's no decency, sense of duty, or obligation. There's no adherence to an oath in the Attorney General's office. They're all disgraced, including the FBI. They're all disgraced, including the IRS, with the exception of the very few people who are out there trying to clean up America. And here we are again at the end of the show, 2 hours later, bringing up Steny Hoyer, talking about the deep state and that they're a cabal of, well, people dedicated to protecting the country and carrying out the orders of the president and defending the Constitution and the country. Yet this is what we continue to see. That there's no honesty, there's no integrity, and that Washington, D.C. is completely, utterly a disgrace. I mean, get this. Marge Taylor Greene, right? Right. She has put out articles of impeachment against Trump and several others. Not Trump, Biden, sorry. Right. Trump already got impeached twice. Marge Taylor Greene is now reporting that there was an attempt to spy on her through her television at home. Here's the statement, folks. Here's the statement. The level of intimidation, the threats, everything that's going on, folks. This is what she said. Last night in my DC residence, the television turned on by itself. It's a smart TV. The television turned on by itself, and the screen showed someone's laptop trying to connect to the TV. Just for the record, I'm very happy. I'm also very healthy and eat well and exercise a lot. I don't smoke and never have. I don't take any medications. I am not vaccinated. So I'm not concerned about blood clots, heart conditions, strokes, or anything else. Nor do I have anything to hide. I just love my country and the people and know how much they've been screwed over by the corrupt people in our government, and I'm not willing to be quiet about it or willing to go along with it. That's what Congressman Marge Taylor Greene said. Well, I have this to add to it. Well, you're not willing to go along with it except for what Kevin McCarthy makes her do or say. But otherwise, folks, she's trying. Her statement to me is strong evidence that there's immense pressure in D.C. to conform, to give in, and give up fighting against the corrupt and perverted deep state. And she writes and says, folks, that the American people have been screwed over by the corrupt people in our government. And she has people trying to hack into her system, her computer. That would be the government doing it. I'm telling you, folks, right now, the federal government can hack into your computers and plant information on it. They can come to your home, your office, take your equipment and plant criminal information on it. Whether it's secret documents that people are being arrested for having, while Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, and others, they have secret information. They're not being arrested. But President Trump, he will. Unbelievable, folks, how screwed up these people are. And they are, folks. They're imbecilic. They're absolutely freaking nuts. Thank you, Jolene. Kamala Harris was on stage at the microphone at an abortion rally, folks, and broke into a fit of uncontrollable laughter. They're imbeciles. They are sick. They're perverted. They get off, folks. It gives them immense pleasure and joy to screw us over, to take advantage of their power, to hurt our country. Kamala Harris is an example of one of the, let's just say, psychological responses. Hysteria. They're narcissistic, they're corrupt, they're perverted. This is what we got. Now let's do this. We've got some super chat donations at the end of the show. Let's talk about them, folks. We got John Miskinnis with a $2 super sticker. Thank you again, John. And he says, thank you so much. I was taking a break away from keyboard, but listening. You made my summer brighter with that redemptive super chat. Thank you, brother. I appreciate all you do. And man, we've got our work cut out for us, all of us. John is an example who has his own network of connections that he works, talks to, spreads information. We all should have that, using email, text messaging, social media, like use Facebook, use Instagram, use Messenger, use all these apps, folks, to our advantage. I don't like them. I can't stand things like Facebook. They want to silence you, right? Twitter. Now we've got Twitter, though, saying, hey, fruitcakes, you can't use your hurtful, mean, harassing terms to describe other people. I think that's great. Keep using codes. Keep using memes to communicate your message to others. Keep fighting back, folks. It is war now. It just hasn't gone to guns in the streets. But I don't see any other way to get through it because these fruitcakes won't quit. They won't give up. They won't listen to reason. They're beyond help. Not to mention the fact that I think they're all juicinated, fully juicinated, and fully boosted, and that it's rotting away their minds. All right, Jolene, who is next? We got Timothy Mahoney checking in with a $4.99 super chat donation. And he says, hey, I was in Texas working and saw the lights, and I was told it was to help people who are suicidal. Not sure how that works. Purple lights are going to stop you from committing suicide, huh? Oh, man. Yeah, that's interesting, dude. Wow. Yeah, well, I'm feeling kind of down today. I think I'll go turn on the purple light. That'll help me out. That'll fix my problems. That's a good one. Thank you, Timothy. Moving along, We just hit the 2-hour mark. We got Matt D with a $10 super chat, and he says, I drink Sapporo. It's Japanese. That's a beer, folks. That is a Japanese brew. I had a Sapporo back in 91 was the last time I had a Sapporo beer. I think I've had more Tsingtao than Sapporos. Also Asian brew. Am I allowed to say Asian brew? or wait, I can't say Oriental brew because that would be from the Orient, not Asia. Anyways, it's interesting how different beer around the world is developed. Beer, it's what's for dinner. Jolene, have we got another one? Is someone else there? And it's Mr. Skylight with a $19.99 super chat donation. He says, courage is not having the strength to go on. It is going on when you don't have the strength. That was said by Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, a great American president, folks. A man who took a bullet in the chest when he was a member of the Bull Moose Party. That's right. They didn't like Teddy Roosevelt because he wasn't going along with the uber rich, super powerful robber barons. Teddy Roosevelt, folks, he did a few things I'm not particularly happy with, but he did a lot of things that were pretty damn good also. Right? He took San Juan Hill with the Rough Riders. He did create the National Park Service, which I think was an overstep in federal authority, but the idea was to preserve the great natural monuments and parks of America. So we can appreciate them at the same time. That wasn't in the Constitution. It was a little extra constitutional, but still, if anyone's going to argue against that now, compare it to the federal government ruling through its court system that states can't protect children from predatory sexual practices of perverts and doctors who are harming children intentionally, psychologically, pharmacologically, and surgicalogically. That's right, surgeries. Thank you very much, Mr. Skylight, for stepping in with a great super chat donation. And I'll read it again. I'll read it again, Jolene. What did Mr. Skylight say? Let's put it up there. It's Teddy Roosevelt's quote. I would like to read that quote again, and I don't want to just paraphrase it. I want to read it proper. Courage is not having the strength to go on. It is going on when you don't have the strength. Thank you, sir. That's a great quote. And thank you for all you do for me behind the scenes, Mr. Skylight. We've come to the end, folks, of Sunday Night Live. We've come to the end this week. We'll be back next week, but we come to the end of your thoughts, your questions. There's a whole lot more going on, folks. There really is. Keep boycotting the bad guys, folks. Keep complaining to them directly. Keep influencing other Americans to do the same. That is, boycott and let these companies know that we don't like their bullshit. Folks, the NHL, National Hockey League, has said they're going to keep the focus on the game and that players will no longer wear pride jerseys during warm-ups. Like I said, beer companies and other companies need to come out and absolutely repudiate the radical, sick, perverted left-wing creeps, the pride creeps. They're no longer going to wear pride jerseys during warm-up. That's right, folks. The fans are rejecting it. And these NHL teams, they're being hurt by it. I tell you what, don't give in. Keep boycotting them. Keep complaining. Keep telling others to do the same. Don't let them go back under their rocks, folks. Let's keep them out in the sunlight where they're going to wither and perish because they are weak. And they are, folks, absolutely evil people. Look what they're doing to kids. Look what they're doing to this country. Look what they're doing to our government in Washington, D.C. They just sent $6 billion, $6.5 billion to the Russians trying to buy traders and got played. Oh, stay tuned. There's a whole lot more coming. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed. Semper Fi. And it's time to go for now. I'll see you 0 Dark 30 bright and early tomorrow.